Ducks fans, are you ready? You are listening to the Ducks and Pucks podcast. This is the number one home for Anaheim Ducks talk and analysis. Here we go.
Welcome to the show. This is your host, Mike Walters, along with my co-host, Eddie Richard, and we are back after the holiday break. We have tons of stuff to talk about. We have the Ducks losing streak, which they finally got out of it. And we've got some trade news, league news, all kinds of things we want to talk about. But before we start the show, Eddie wants to dedicate the show, and I will let him take it away right now.
Yeah, to my best friend, Lauren Boardman. She passed away, unfortunately, December 31st of this year, shortly before the ball drop. What her sister described was, she got to be with God during the new year, and both her parents are lost too. So, yeah, she was a really good friend. I've known her since I was like 12, 13 years old in middle school. We dated in high school for a while, went to prom with her, and she got to know her and her family real well. And obviously, we didn't work out as a relationship, but she became my very best friend, someone I can always count on, a confidant, someone I can joke with, someone that puts me in my place or gives me advice when needed. She was a real pillar in my life, and it really rattled me, and I think a piece of my heart left too. But she was a big supporter of Ducks and Pucks, Mike. She loved you and your wife. She said nothing but the best things to say about both of you meeting you. She loved all the people she met, including Jen, going to Ducks games, and she was always a big supporter of me, watching me play hockey and just watching me grow in life as I did with her. So it's really unfortunate that we lost her at such a young age due to a heart attack, some health issues. So she leaves behind her 3-year-old daughter, which broke my heart because you can't really tell a daughter that, and her family. So if you guys pray or whatever, just lift them up in your spirits and just have them find peace. And I know one day again I'll see my best friend, and I love her to death, and I'm sad, but I mean I'm glad we can dedicate this show in her honor and her memory and keep it alive.
Yeah, I agree. Lauren was just a great person, met her several times at Duck games and hung out. Was always a happy person and, just fun to be around and talk to. And like you said, it was a big fan of the Ducks too as well. So, we don't want to get too off to a negative start, unfortunate show, but, we wanted to dedicate it to her just because she was a big part of Eddie's life and a big supporter of us and whatnot. So we also wanted to talk a little bit about the holidays. I hope everyone else had a good holiday out there. I know Eddie and I have kind of had a rough go of it a little bit lately,
Yeah.
but Eddie, do you want to talk about Christmas and New Year's a little bit? Kind of. Also, I know you had that whole thing go down, obviously, and mine was kind of down and then up, and I'll go into it a little bit. But what else is going on with you? In the last couple weeks?
I really can't complain. I've been dealing with some medical issues and I guess some mental health issues with stuff that's been going on. But I mean, I still have my life and my health. So I mean, my health as I know of. So I can't really complain that much. But it's been okay. I'm just looking forward to getting past next few weeks and getting healthy again and just kind of, I guess, continuing this year just trending up. I mean, we started off down, so I can only go up from there. But yeah, I really can't complain about my holidays. Yeah, I really can't complain. But Mike, I'm pretty sure, and I'm sure that Lauren wouldn't mind sharing this show dedicated to her. We can also dedicate it to you because from what a birdie told me is tomorrow's your 21st birthday, Mike. So a happy early birthday, and the show is also dedicated to you. And I'm pretty sure Lauren would love to and be honored to share that dedication with you. So happy early birthday. Any plans? Or, well, to rewind back, how was your holidays? And you did go to somewhere special too for January.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, and obviously happy birthday to you too, because yours was just 2 weeks ago, so or just under 2 weeks ago. So yeah, no, I appreciate it. Christmas was kind of rough because I was sick. I don't know what's been going around with people, but I was sick in bed for 3 days. I did a nice forced fast. I just I really couldn't eat for several days. It was just kind of rough. The missus was too, but then we got better. And we did end up going to Miami and going to the Winter Classic, which was a blast. If you've ever been to Miami, it's a great place to go to. We went to Key West, had a lot of fun. Went to the Winter Classic. Fun experience, but obviously that game was a blowout. The Rangers blew out the Panthers, so there wasn't really much of an actual game. But the whole experience overall was really, really good. I highly recommend going and checking it out. Everybody was really nice. I know we had better weather over there. It was like sunny and in the 60s, where it was raining like crazy here in California. Um, so that part was all good, and I had fun with that. And we were, well enough to go there because if we weren't, we were going to cancel the trip. But it worked out, and we still went. Had a good time, and then yeah, my birthday's this week, and then gonna go to Vegas this coming up weekend. Got the holiday weekend with MLK Day, right? So that's just the plan there. I've been doing a little bit of traveling here and there, trying to get out and do stuff. Just we were talking about Lauren and other stuff going on in the world. And, you just life's too short, right? So, if you've got plans to do something or there's something you want to do and are kind of putting it off, you should go do it. Or if you have some kind of issue with someone that's a friend or a family or coworker or whatever, try and just resolve it because, just life's too short. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of what's been happening with me for the last 2 weeks, Eddie.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Life is too short. You never know when's the last time you're ever going to talk to someone. So, yeah, if you know someone, or even just want to reach out to one of your friends and say, "Hey, what's up? How's it going?" And just keep in touch. Is the biggest thing you can do is not be able to be there for them. I was fortunate enough; I got to talk to her weekly, text daily. Spoke to her a few days before I found out what happened. So I mean, we always tell each other that we loved each other, and so I get to have that. Those are my final words to her. So yeah, yeah, sorry to start the show like this, but it's important to show the humanity side, and I'm pretty sure other people go through the same thing. So and like Mike and I always say, if you need anything, reach out to us, shoot the shit. So yeah, I guess we're gonna still continue rolling with this too, Mike, about the shitty news starts as a show called the shitty news start because the Ducks didn't do anything that great either, even coming to the new year.
Yeah, I mean it was really rough for this team. Coming out of the break, we recorded a show right before the holiday. Ducks were still doing okay, kind of playing, a more 500, which we'll kind of talk about. Like I said, we're not going to really dive into the specifics of the game, but there's just kind of some things we noticed over some of the recent games, and we'll break down like the overall picture of it. Not going to rehash it, but as you guys know, the Ducks, went on this 9-game winless streak. After the holiday break, they had lost 8. They had lost the one right before it, but just rough. They played LA and got blown out in that game. And they had some close games. They had a close one against, San Jose, Tampa Bay. You thought they might have won those. They did get a point against Tampa Bay in overtime, but it didn't work out. And then, of course, Minnesota and Washington were rough ones. And, of course, Philly as well was rough, and then Buffalo. But one thing I kind of noticed in these games, and, I don't know if it's necessarily a pattern or what it is, and Eddie and I kind of talked about this on the show, but seems like each game there was always someone on the team just going off for the opponents, unfortunately, which is what was frustrating. You had LaFerriere getting his, first hat trick with LA against the Ducks. Hagel getting 3 assists in that Tampa Bay game. Quint Hughes on Eddie's favorite team, Minnesota, getting 4 assists.
Ugh, I hate
So
Minnesota.
he,
Jeez.
right, and then Sordiff getting a hat trick and 2 assists in the Washington game, and then even the Philly games, Zegras gets 2 goals. The Buffalo game, Jack Quinn gets 2 goals. I don't know what it is. It just the overriding thing with this team has just been defense. It's been a huge, huge issue. All these games, they're giving up 5 or more goals in almost every single game. So that's just kind of a big thing, that's really hurt the team, and we'll dive into it a little bit more. But what did you think, Eddie? Like just initial thoughts overall about like this losing streak, them just giving up all these goals and some of these guys just going off when they're playing against the Ducks.
Oh man, I haven't drank since Christmas Day, and I don't even know how I was able to do that. Watching these or trying to watch these games. You know what, Mike? It got so bad. The game against Carolina, I went to the bar. I I can go to the bar top and not drink. So I went with my brother. I wanted to drink, and I got to the point where I told the bartender, "Hey, go ahead and shut the game off. Go ahead and turn basketball on. Like I'm done watching." It was just so ridiculous. I would pop in here and there on the app, the Victory Plus app on my phone, but it was still horse shit. Like no heart at all. I didn't see any heart that, especially that Carolina game pissed me off the most. The shitty passes, the trying to it just it just seemed like the Ducks didn't want to play. Like they didn't want to be there. They accepted their fate. I wish they could just forfeit that game and just left. It was horrible, and it just didn't get any better. You saw with Philly, Washington, they had and Minnesota, they had decent starts. They started off with so much energy, but then it just tapered off. This win streak didn't seem like it was going to end. It seemed like it was just going to keep going and going, and the Ducks weren't going to win a game in 2026. And I even had fun with one of the games I covered, Mike, when you were at the Winter Classic, just trying to poke fun of all these stupid stats that NHL keeps. Like, hey, this is the first time the Ducks, just to try to loosen the mood a little bit. But man, it was hard. It was really hard to watch, especially. I think it's harder too, Mike, that we had this expectation now with the Ducks playing so well. Then we don't want to think it was a fluke. I know a lot of teams probably wrote the Ducks off, didn't think they're going to come off that strong, but I think goaltending plays a lot into this, and then having the production from the players that need to. Something was off with this team, and it still feels off. Even when we'll talk about the win coming up, but even with that win, the team just still felt off a little bit. I don't know what you thought about that, Mike.
Yeah, I agree. It was kind of weird. I kind of looked at this season and I broke it down in three parts, excluding the Dallas game, right? They won. But looking at how this Ducks team's done, it really it's just weird. It's like they've transformed over the season in a bad way. So the first 15 games, Ducks 11-3-1. They're just going nuts. We're ready to throw the parade. They're going crazy. We're like, oh my God, these guys never lose. Everybody's scoring goals. It's crazy. Then you had the next 15 where then all of a sudden they're playing like 500 hockey. They're 8-7-0. And you're like, okay, but they were still up on top of the division, right? Not thinking it was the end of the world. And then they go on this crazy, 2-12-2 stretch in the next, 16 games there. And then obviously they ended up being 3-12-2 because they won the last one. But before that Dallas game, they'd only won two regulation games in their last 16. And some of the stuff that I kind of noticed, just patterns of things, I think a lot of it, Eddie, is the scoring by the team really masked a lot of the defensive issues. They were, in that first 15 games, they were averaging, 4 goals a game. I remember posting a graphic on that. Everybody was going nuts. And they were holding the opponents to under 3 goals. Then it was almost even at 3.5 or 3.4 in that next 15 games, which kind of correlates with the record, kind of weird. And then now they're barely over three. They're at 3.24, and the opponents against are 3.67. So that's part of it, I think, is the scoring has tailed off in it. You did mention the goaltending too. If you remember, Dostal got hurt, Mrazek got hurt, Ville Husso came up and pinch hit and did decent in there too. But the offense isn't scoring as much, and the goalies haven't been playing as well either, like you talked about. So I think you had that. The defense has still kind of been consistently subpar throughout the season. So that's kind of what I look at, Eddie, and it seems like just the scoring and the elite goaltender play by Dostal in the beginning of the season, which we did see in this Dallas game, came back. I think it kind of masked some of the defensive problems, Eddie.
Yeah, I don't know. Another thing I wanted to point out too, Mike, is I guess our veteran players, Kreider, Granlund, Strome, and Vetrano. I think one of the games I can't remember, but they went back to mid-December and they only scored about 14 points total between all of them. It's just crazy. We need more production, especially Kreider. Kreider started off pretty hot, and he's known to plot those power play goals, but that wasn't really he hasn't really done much. And I'm glad he scored against Dallas. That was good. You saw that whole hands up and are you not entertained kind of thing. Um, that was good to see, but I don't know what happened. There has to be some sort of injury. Like I just don't know how a team can go complete, I guess 360 to what they were last season. Like it was just hard. And like I mentioned earlier too, Mike, I think it's harder to watch, and I think fans are really pissed off more this season because the expectations were really high to the start of the season. They were, I mean, they're still within that. They're not down and gone. The West has been so tight, especially the Pacific. You had Vegas go on their losing streak. Dallas had their losing streaks. This seemed more like it was just one of those. I don't know, Mike. It's hard to explain. It seemed like it was more than just a losing streak, that a cold slump that teams go through. Um, it just it's unexplainable. Like the downfall of what happened.
Yeah, I think just trying to piece some of this together, and like you're saying too, I think that it's like just a combination of things, right? There's not like, oh God, this guy did this or that guy did that. We talked about the goal scoring and whatnot, and you brought it up. The Kreider one is interesting because early in the season too, the power play was like at 25%. They were killing it. Now it's just under 17%. The penalty kill has kind of been whatever throughout the season. It's been, kind of just under 80%, right around there. But the first 22 games, Kreider was going bonkers. I mean, he was averaging almost a point a game. He had 13 goals in the first 22 games. Now he's only had two goals in the last 20, and those last two came in this last, 4 or 5 games here. So that's gotten a little bit better. One thing I took a look at was the amount of shots that he was getting. And in the first 22 games, he had 42 shots on goal, averaging 2.18 per game. The last 20, he's only had 32 shots at 1.6 per game. So that's dropped off there. He's dropped off a full half shot a game, which isn't good. Obviously, the more you shoot, the more you score, most of the time, or at least you hope, right? So I don't know what happened with Kreider. You've seen some of the interviews and stuff, and he's been in that slump, and now he seems to be getting it back. So hopefully he's getting it going. The other one that's been rough too has been Carlson, which, we've seen that he did not play in this Dallas game. He's been kind of in and out of practice. He was hurt before the holiday break, and I don't really think Carlson's 100%. Watching Carlson, it's been rough. His time on ice has dipped. He used to average 19 and a half minutes, and now he's not even averaging 18 minutes in these last 8 games. Um, you know, 17 goals in the first 31 games, and now 1 goal in the last 13 games. I mean, it's just real rough. And his shot per production per game has gone down by half a shot too. So if you watch Carlson, I think the issue is he's got that lower body injury, so something's going on there where I just don't see him doing those rushes up the ice as well. He's not slicing and dicing the defense down the slot like he used to, where you see him, go in there and carry the puck on his own and either shoot it or dish it out. There's just something a little bit off with him there. I really do think it's an injury thing with him. So those two guys have dipped, and then you've been relying on the other guys. You've got Terry, who's had a great season. He's all, quietly, he's almost got a point per game. Seneca is killing it, leading the rookies and scoring goals. So those have been some of the positive stuff. So I don't want to say it's all negative. Cutter's been up there too, but I don't know. I feel like those two guys have dropped. Kreider really dropping has killed the power play. You can see that not getting it done and losing Leo too. So I like that Kreider did get that goal in that Dallas game, as you talked about. Seneca scored. The Ducks played well in that game, probably till I don't know, maybe 45, 50 minutes. It seemed like they kind of let up a little bit in the third, but they were able to pull that out. Thank God. Because, like Eddie, you were talking about, I really thought they were going to lose 10 in a row and it was just going to keep going because that game against Dallas, you remember, we got all this bad news right before the game. They said that, hey, Terry's out, Gauthier is sick and going to be out, and Carlson's out. So then the Ducks only had enough to go with that, 11-7 lineup, which usually doesn't work for the Ducks. So when they did play Dallas, I was cracking up. I had two trains of thought before that game. I thought, one, we're going to get blown out because I was at the last one when they got blown out by Dallas. Or I thought, something weird's going to happen and somehow they're going to pull this off, which is what ended up happening. Large part because of Dostal stopping almost everything in front of him. He was playing, back to his original form. So I think it's a combination of things. I think some of the players have been off. Like I said, Leo playing hurt. We know Dostal got hurt earlier. Not really sure if he's completely 100%. I mean, he looked great in that Dallas game, but it's weird because I don't know. I did not think that this kind of losing streak would happen this season, Eddie, especially with Coach Q. So he's got to get the team and drag them out of it because, like you mentioned, the Pacific's still tight, and the Ducks have a lot of games against, Pacific Division opponents. Coming up this weekend, they're playing back to back against the Kings with that Color Rush game on Friday, and then it's also doing the little jersey switch on Saturday too. So it's a big, big, 4 points at stake this weekend. Like they they need to beat the Kings both games. But I just think it's a combination of things, Eddie. I think some of it is individual problems and some of it's team problems, and I think you just put it all together, and it's just not been right with the team.
Yeah, like you mentioned too about Leo Carlson. Yeah, it seems like something's lingering. And I know, and not saying he's doing it, but the Olympics are coming up. It's a big thing for the players. I know a lot of players will play through things. They don't want to jeopardize their Olympic chance. Not saying that's the case with this, but yeah, it's been really it's crazy to see it and kind of disappointing to see how his play dipped that low. And if it's injury, it's injury. I hope he heals up faster. One thing I noticed too, Mike, a trend that's going on in the league, a lot of the players are taking personal time. If you noticed, a lot of players will be out and they'll just list it as personal.
Yes.
I kind of like that aspect of it. They're not Superman. They're not Superman. They're not Clark Kent. They have emotions just like you and I. They're humans. They go through stuff. So I'm glad that a lot of them are stepping in, don't have to feel that they have to play every single game, that they can take that I guess mental health retool time off to deal whatever it is they're dealing with. And I really praise a lot of the teams allowing their players to do that. I think it's something that benefits all of us, and it goes down to the kids watching. Like, hey, well, if my athlete that I look up to is taking days off for personal reasons, when something's going on in their life when they get older, they can feel that way too. You don't have to force anything, but not saying that's the case with Carlson, but yeah, it's just hard to kind of think that something is going on and injury wise, and he comes back from the Olympics. I guess my question too, Mike, is do you want to do you want to just I don't know. It's kind of hard, Mike. Try to word it. These players are going to go play in the Olympics. The ice has been shitty. The pizzeria hole that they have over there. Do you want a chance these players going over there and significantly injuring something worse and getting them pretty much cut for the whole season? Or do you just let them go and chance it? Or do you want to be that team? I don't know if the teams can really stop their players from going, but I guess my question, Mike, is how do you feel about the NHL players going and playing in the Olympics? And now, usually, I guess as a Duck standpoint, we wouldn't really care because we wouldn't have a chance of making the playoffs the last few seasons. But this season, regardless of their losing streak, they still have a chance to get to the wild card spot. They still have a chance to be number one in the Pacific Division. And I have no doubt if they get back to their playing ways that they were in the beginning of the season, they could achieve that. But I guess my question to you, Mike, would you want to chance that and kind of jeopardize your chance at the playoffs for these players to go to the Olympics?
Yeah, that's a tough one, right? Because there's a lot of pride in these players, right? Playing for different teams, whether it's Finland, Sweden, I mean, US, of course, Canada, the other European countries. There's a lot of pride in that. So that's hard. It's like you're gonna tell guys that, hey, oh, you got selected by that team, but we're not gonna send you. It's tough. Like in the case of like Leo Carlson, to me, I don't think they should send him because the way he looks right now, I don't know. He doesn't seem 100%. I don't know if I'd want to do that. So I don't know. I think it's kind of situational. I think it's really like you kind of mentioned, where's the team at right at that time? Like, are they at the bottom of the standings and they have no hopes of the playoffs? Then who cares? Or are they fighting it out for first place in the division or a wild card? So that's a tough one because I wouldn't want to tell a player no, right? And then, he doesn't get to go represent his country. But then, like you say, you
Yeah,
you send him, but then he comes back hurt.
but can they tell them no? I know they had the a lot of things are in their CBA, so I don't know if a team can restrict a player from going. And then it is to note too that Leo Carlson is projected to be the number one center for Team Sweden, so he's going to be having a lot of minutes. So he's not going to just be on a third, fourth line role. He's going to have significant playing time. I'm pretty sure he'll get power play time and PK time too. He's been on the PK with the Ducks a few times. So that plays a factor in too. He's not going to go over there. He's going to play some serious minutes.
Yeah, no, you bring up a very good point. Yeah, you're right. I mean, he is gonna play some serious minutes. So that's the other issue too. Because now here's the other thing. He's gonna go over there. So then we know that that's gonna happen in February. Trade deadline's the beginning of March. There's also the player freeze of some of the trade movement in February as well. So it's like, what do you do? Do you rest him the next couple weeks here in January before? Like, do you do that and then let him go over there? I mean, it's a tough thing. I think it is a tough thing. How you decide that, and um, I guess the other part too, we talked about this too, is well, these guys are going to have 2 weeks off too, right? So, another angle you could look at it is, well, you have them go over there and play, and they're still in playing form, right? Then you're going to have other teams that are going to have players that are going to be off for 2 weeks. And again, you and I have always talked about this on the show. It's rest versus rust, right? So then how does that look too? Because you know, everybody, we've talked about this too. Teams, once you get halfway through the season, every team has players that are hurt. Like that's just, it is what it is. Everyone's got some kind of nagging injury or banged up, maybe not where they can't play, but they've all got stuff going on. So to me, it almost comes down to the team. Like they use that break and they try and recover, or it could be the other thing. You have a team that's hot and then they go cold because they're not doing anything for that 2 weeks as far as game playing stuff. So I don't really have an answer, Eddie. I mean, it's a great question. Um, and like you said about restricting the players or not, how that's I'm not 100% sure. I never really looked into that, but yeah, it's something that I think the teams have to have a discussion with their players and how they feel. Um, and then kind of see how it works out. I just don't have an answer. I think it's really based upon the team and how they're doing at the time, and that's what's going to affect it. I mean, it's unfortunate. I wish like the Olympics was like it's, the off season or something, but it's not. It's right there towards the end of the season, so it's not like you can say, oh, we'll just do it at the end of the season or before the season or whatever. So that's how I look at it. I don't know. I'm wondering what they are going to do with him. They obviously rested him against the game against Dallas. And then what are you going to do in the next couple weeks? That's what I want to see. And I think to me, they might just have to rest him. I think that's going to kind of be what it is. But also the other part is, we don't always know what all the injuries are, right? That it's always upper body, lower body. Once in a while we find out, oh, this guy, it's a knee and he's having surgery or it's his hand or whatever. But that's the issue too. We don't know. Like, is this like a groin issue? Is it a knee issue? I don't know. I don't want to speculate because it's not right. No one really knows 100%. But that's the other part of it is what is the injury and how bad is it? So I'm not opposed though to them resting him. Even like this weekend, maybe he plays one game against the Kings and rests the other one. I mean, I don't know. That's going to be a physical game. The Kings are always tough against us and hit hard, so you may not want to risk him playing both games this weekend. So that's kind of where I'm at, Eddie, with the Olympics. I mean, I don't really have a specific answer. I just think it's really how the players' health's doing and where the team's at in the standings.
Yeah, I would have looked it up more about the CBA, but that question just popped in my mind, and you know me, Mike. When something pops in my mind, I just spontaneously vomit it out, and we talk about it. I'm pretty sure that question goes along with all the other fans, not just Ducks fans, in the National Hockey Leagues. I've seen it too on different chats where people don't want the players to go, but then on the flip side, you're going and playing for your country, and that's something that's, I mean, it hasn't happened in a while, and the players barely got back in the Olympics. So it's kind of I don't know. You want them to go succeed, but you don't want injuries. I guess, Mike, this would be a good time to kind of dip into the league news a little bit about the Olympics. I
Sure.
know the arena is going to be smaller than what the traditional used to. The arena is not ready. The dressing rooms haven't even started. There's a lot of issues going on with the arena, and with that said, with the ice being different, these players are so used to the North American ice and what they've been playing on all these years. Can that factor in injuries too? If you're not used to playing on it, to adapt to that, it's going to be smaller ice. So I think that's a kind of a thing you have to consider too. I agree with you. I wouldn't mind resting Carlson, just sitting him. I wouldn't mind sitting him the whole week and let him play against New York come Monday. Uh, with that, especially we don't know what's going on. He stepped in practice and then all of a sudden left. So no one really knows what the extent of the injury is. Um, but yeah, I wouldn't mind resting him, getting him that I guess the physical rest, but also the mental part of it. He obviously knows his production dipped. So that can be weighing on the player too. These players want to perform at the highest possible level they can, and he knows that he plays a big vital role on this team. So I'm pretty sure that gets to him too. So maybe that little time off can get him back to where he needs to be. Um, but regardless, though, Mike, I do wish them all good luck. I know Sweden. Anything can happen in the Olympics. I know everyone talks about the U.S. and Canada, U.S. and Canada, but anything can happen. You can have Czech go and go on a run, have a out goaltend another one. But yeah, so I guess that factor in but the ice conditions over there is going to play a big role in what happens when they go and play over there, or if they go and play over there. I know throughout the beginning of the season, the league mentioned that if the ice is too unsafe for the players to go, they're not going to want them to go. I know McKinnon, Kachuk saying they're going to go regardless. They want to go play. So it just that's kind of hard too, that the ice situation over there.
Yeah, oh yeah, I agree 100%. The ice, like you said, there was like a hole in the ice on that one report. This like arena wasn't 100% completed. I mean, it's a kind of a little bit of a mess over there. I don't feel comfortable with what's going on over there. Um,
Yeah, same. I don't want the ice, the whole arena to fall apart when they're trying to play. Like safety should be the number one concern for the players and the fans attending.
right, exactly. And yeah, kind of just kind of looking up because we were talking about like teams, if they want to refuse, um, they've had that before where teams have refused. They've had that, and they've cited things like you said. I was trying to remember this. I was looking it up, but some of it is, injury risks, arena readiness too, which has been the current one. So. I don't know. It could change in the next couple weeks, but regardless, whether he goes or not, I think he should rest, like you talked about. I rather him rest and then come back stronger later in the season with like again with whatever it is that we know, because he's just not 100%. You can tell he's not able to do the things that he was doing in the beginning of the season. Some of the other interesting things. Some of the fans brought up some other stuff too that I thought was interesting was the post stats, which I was trying to look this up. I don't really know exactly where to find it, but Zach Kavanaugh covers the Ducks. He's doing really good work this season, and he had posted a thing where the Ducks were fourth in the league, 2% of their shots hitting the post or crossbar. So that was another question we had. And then there was this guy on Instagram that asked that. And that's where they're at on the stats. I wish I knew where to get them. I tried. Eddie and I were trying to look before the show and figure it out, but it doesn't seem like a lot of websites have the crossbar slash post hit stats. But you can know that the Ducks top five in the league from what Zach had uncovered. So that's another thing to look at. Some
Well,
of the
they hit the
stats.
post like 3 or 4 times against Carolina too. So it's kind of a coincidence that Carolina's number one post hits and the Ducks are right there four per his Zach stats, but or
Yep.
whatever he got these stats. But yeah, it just hitting the post too, like especially when they're not. That pissed me off. See, I guess I was just really pissed off that Thursday I couldn't drink. Well, I could have drank, I just didn't want to. The post. Of course, my prize pick thing, I think that's the end of the world when I don't get my picks. It doesn't even care about the money anymore. I just want to win. I'm competitive toward myself and the algorithms of these things. But yeah, just that's interesting stats. I'm glad that we were able to provide that for the fan question that came in. But
Yeah, I
man, this
mean
post.
that's been part of it. The other thing has been, I know Eddie, you pulled some of these stats too. Is the goals against the Ducks are worse in the league as of now, giving up 169. They've scored 149-4, which is 10th. So again, they're scoring goals, but they're giving up too many goals again. They're kind of, which I mean, that's how it was the last couple seasons. So that hasn't really changed. Ducks are shooting the puck a lot. They're, averaging over 30 shots a game, which is fourth in the league, so that's good. But I feel the overarching thing with this team has been the defense. It's been a big issue. What I want to do too right now is we'll talk about some trades because that's the other. A lot of you had fan questions about how do you improve the team with trades, call-ups, and things like that. So I do want to get to that, but before I do
Oh,
that, I
one
do
more
want to.
thing, Mike,
Yeah.
if I could interrupt.
Yep.
We had a couple fan questions. You can call me Bob96. He mentioned if there's a culture problem stemming from the current group of vets and also the HUD underscore Bowman 12. Why does this team suck? I think we kind of broke down that question of why they suck, but the one by Bob96, it's interesting. I don't know, Mike, if you think there's kind of I guess not a full culture, but maybe a couple bad apples or teams, players are not gelling with. We all know the issues that JT Miller had with Elias Pettersson. Quinn Hughes came out and said that Elias Pettersson's attitude and toward the game, he didn't really like that too well. That was causing a drift through their locker room. Do you think, or do you? see any players being an issue that probably need to go or just I don't see it as far as the players' interviews, no one really throwing it under the bus. I do like, and I know a lot of people get upset when they're taking pictures or going on road trips, they're still smiling and having a good time. I know a lot of players, people got pissed off about that, thinking it should be in the sunset. I'm glad they have that. They can just kind of, I guess, short-term memory on the games that they play. But do you think there's a cultural problem going on with the Ducks, Mike?
I don't. I don't really think that there is. I know someone said that they had seen some of the comments and some of the post-game interviews where they had talked about, guys being upset and losing streak and whatnot. And we remember that that happened under Cronin, right? There were some times that they had those really bad losing streaks, and then everybody starts like getting on each other's nerves. And that's what I think it's more of. I don't see it necessarily being a culture thing at all. I don't see that. I just don't. I just think you get on this roll of losing, right? And everybody gets grumpy, everybody gets irritable, and people start getting on each other's nerves more. That's what I really think it is. I don't know. I don't really see one player on there that's like, this guy is dragging it down. I just don't. I don't really see it. I don't know. I think it's just more of, hey, you're on a losing streak and everybody's getting frustrated. That's what I see, Eddie.
Yeah, and like I said, I really like the fact that they still have their spirits up. I mean, last season you didn't see them smiling a lot, you didn't see them having fun, but this season you see more of that. So I kind of like that that aspect of it. But yeah, I don't think there's an issue going on in the locker room with the Ducks as far as what we heard. We haven't even heard any analysts talk about that at all. So I just think that I guess the positive thing they are keeping their good spirit, so that's good. And hopefully this is just kind of a learning experience. You have to get down in the dumps, just like we talked about in the beginning of the show, Mike. We had a kind of a rough go to the start of the year, and I guess this is our losing streak right now. But you can only go up from there. The Ducks are still learning. They're still no one expected them to start off as hard as they did. So that's a kind of a positive. We got a sample of what this team could do, so they could just build from there. Yeah, and go ahead and I know you want to. We have some trades to talk about, but I think something like that can kind of boost this team and get them back into the right direction.
Yeah, and before I jump into the trades, just want to go over our sponsor again. DraftKings. We got the pick six, every yard, every sack, every interception, and every touchdown. With pick six, DraftKings' newest game, you can snap. Every snap can turn into a big time payout. This isn't just watching the game. This is playing to win. How it works is pick more or less, two or more players stats. The better picks, the bigger your payouts. That simple. You know the game. Now make it pay. Download DraftKings Pick Six app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN. Play just $5. You get $50 and Pick Six credits. Make the call. Ride the upside in partnership with DraftKings Pick Six. The crown is yours. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-7897-777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick Six is not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. One per new customer bonus awarded as non-refundable Pick Six credits that expire in 14 days. Terms at picksix.draftkings.com/promos. Limited time offer. All right. Yeah. So we are still part of the
Mike,
Hockey Podcast Network. So yes, Eddie.
that pick six is fucking hard. Yes, I'm throwing my F bomb for that. That thing is hard. Like, man, that thing's hard. It's harder than the parlays I did with DraftKings. With the parlays when I was in Buffalo. Um, there's been times. There's one time, Mike. I want to say in November, and I thought it's gonna hit. I usually spend like $1 and pick six players. I think who are gonna score goals, and if you get all six of them, that's like nets you like 2 grand. Mike, I had five of them. It came down to Jonathan Huberdeau. Of course, he doesn't fucking score. My bad. I used it again. You know what? I'm having a shitty start of the year, so I could throw two F bombs. But if he would have scored one goal, I would have hit my six, got 2 grand off $1. That's just nuts. But I sound like a compulsive gambler now. No, it's fun. It keep things entertaining. So it's kind of fun to see that. I do miss being in a state eligible where I can bet on games. It was pretty fun with DraftKings, and they have a good app. I like navigating around their app. So, but Yeah, Mike, I'm just saying. I think I hit you up a few times. Hey, Mike, pick a player. Oh no, the game we went to, Mike, against Chicago. I had some money riding on that. I think if Bedard would have scored 1 point, I would have got like $300 off of like a $5 bet or something. So yeah, I'm not too crazy on it, but if I hit off a dollar and win 2 grand, hey, dinner and drinks on me, Mike.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, I don't partake in it because I that's just not my thing. But uh, it's pretty exciting, like you said. When I've seen these things where you're like you get one or two right, and you're like, okay, get the third one right and keep it going. But yeah, check it out, DraftKings. That's our main sponsor through the Hockey Podcast Network. Now, like you were talking about the trades before I did the promo, we had fan questions. That was kind of the main thing a lot of people asked. We had Brian Xbox on Instagram asked, what do the Ducks need to turn around the season, trade or call-ups? We had Brewski with three W's in his name. If you're the Ducks GM, who do you add, trade at deadline? And also Warrior Mac, what position do the Ducks need to improve to have a winning season? So a lot of it we've seen that came out recently. There's more trade rumor news. It sounds like Edmonton is doing some shopping with Andrew Mangiapane and Trent Frederick. And Elliot Freeman said that Mangiapane was connected to the Ducks, which I'm not really a big fan of, to be honest. And Frederick too. Not that he was necessarily connected, but those are forwards. I just don't know if those guys are ones that'll help out the team. Elliot Freeman was talking about the Ducks getting more vets in there to help with the losing streak. I don't really think that's the issue. You and I already addressed the locker room thing. I don't see the veteran presence or lack of veteran presence really an issue. So to me, it's a hard pass on those guys with the Oilers. It doesn't seem like it would help me. Vancouver is also another team that sounds like they've been shopping some players. So I'm very, very interested. Keith Sherwood came out there. Frank Zaravelli mentioned it on his podcast. So, we all know it's Frank. So, take it however you want to take it. But Bukaras is on there too talking about it. So, um, he's done good, 17 goals in 44 games this season. But again, like, do we need a forward? I don't know. And bringing back a guy, I don't know. And they're talking about, his next contract being maybe 4 or 5 million a year. Ducks obviously have plenty of cap space, so that's not an issue. Another one out there was Dougie Hamilton's name has been floated around, which, I'd like the Ducks to get defense. That's what I think to answer one of the fan questions. I think that's what they need to improve. I think that they need to either send Hellison down to the goals or trade him. I do like what Gudis and Truber are still playing. I know some people are not as big on them, but I think they're still fine for now. Also, congrats to Truba. They had their second baby boy this last week. But that's where I'm at. I don't see the Ducks are scoring goals. That's why when I hear these names like Sherwood and Mangiapane, I don't. To me, it's like no, like we need to work on defense because now we're giving up almost 4 goals a game. We're giving up the most goals in the league. So to me, that's more what the Ducks need to look at. They need to look at are there teams out there that are willing to part with a top four defenseman, and then what are the Ducks willing to do? Are they willing to give up, a first round pick for some top, even two defensemen? I mean, that's what I would do. As I'm Verbeek, I'm looking around the league trying to find out how do I improve my defense, and that's what I'm looking at. But what are your thoughts, Eddie? I mean, these are just some of the names that have been thrown out there recently on some of the different podcasts and stuff. I love Keith Sherwood. Don't get me wrong, I love that dude when he was on the Ducks. But what do you think? Any of these guys entertain like to you? Would you pick them? I know Hamilton's a little bit he's veteran, but he's 30 plus, so that's another issue too. Do you want another 30 plus defenseman on your team? So what are you thinking?
Well, Mangiapane, he had looks at playing with McDavid on the top line, and he didn't really produce that much. I mean, if you can't produce with McDavid, like, how much production are you going to bring to the Ducks? I think with McDavid, people like McDavid and McKinnon, Mike, we can lace up and score a goal. I mean, all we do is put a blindfold on, put our stick on the ice, and for some reason, those players will just make it happen. They're just phenomenal players, but I can't see that with Trent Frederick. I liked his game in Boston. He played really well over there. I wouldn't mind getting a chance on him. The only issue is his contract is like 3.8 million for the next 4 seasons. He has some trade protection his last season. I wouldn't want to take that gamble on him to kind of trying to get his Boston production back. That seems like more of a Bob Murray move to try to gamble on players of what they were and not look at what they can be. It just hasn't worked out for him in Edmonton. It seemed like it'd be more of a salary dump on us if we went that route. Now, Kiefer Sherwood, I like this as a bottom six. I know he's been playing as a top six forward. Bringing him to the Ducks, I don't think he necessarily would fit a top six. I think it's pretty clogged up. We have a lot of players that on our chart that could pretty much outplay him. I love his physicality and what he brings to the game. He likes to throw his body around, but he can produce and get those apples, get those goals. I think he'll have a career in goals this season, but it seems like the price on him is going to go up. It's going to be a bidding war. A lot of teams are going to like this player. I think you have to say goodbye to a first round pick. You're going to have to say goodbye to a prospect or a significant player. And I think with this in Vancouver to make this happen, it's going to be either Michukov, Zellweger, or Hallison. I know Hallison's been getting a lot of slack, but he's still a valuable defenseman, and he played a hell of a game against Dallas. So you know what he could bring to the table. I wouldn't necessarily want the Ducks to spend that much on a player like this. Um, I still don't think the Ducks are a Stanley Cup team. I think they're a playoff contending team. I don't think they're a Stanley Cup contender. Do you really want to spend all what you can? Like a team like Toronto pretty much gave away everything. I think 40 draft picks they've traded since they've drafted Matthews. Do you really want to go that route just to get a first round exit, or I guess at most a second round exit? I don't think it's worth I guess worth it, but I do like Sherwood. I love what he brings. He's a fantasy manager's dream. He throws his body around all the time. I hope he heals up from his injury too. It sucks to see a player thriving so much in a contract year to have this injury. He's going to get paid, so good luck to him. I just don't think it's going to be with the Ducks, or it should be with the Ducks. Um, as far as Dougie Hamilton, it's been a shit show over there with New Jersey, Mike. I guess this is part of the league news we want to talk about too, but
Sure.
they informed his agent that he wasn't going to play anymore. He's going to be scratched once I forgot the defenseman that came in. They had a logjam of right shot defenseman, and they pretty much said he's done. They tried to trade him to San Jose the draft. He nixed the trade. He does have a 10-team protection thing, so he gets to kind of pick where he wants to go, where he doesn't want to go. Obviously, he didn't want to go to San Jose for obvious reasons. He didn't want to go to a rebuilding team. San Jose is still a few years off. Even the success they're having right now, I still don't think they're gonna be that contending team or even make the playoffs, even though they're in a playoff position right now. A few days later, after that, they announced that he's going to be in the lineup. So it's just kind of a to publicly out your player like that and then throw him in the lineup. It's mismanagement from New Jersey, and I think the only solution you have right now is to trade him. And I mean, right now they know all the teams know there's friction going on between them, so it's going to be hard to get what you could have gotten for him. He's still a good defenseman. He's still young. But like you said, Mike, do you really want to bring another aging defenseman? You need to bring someone that's, I guess, a little bit more, a little younger, a little more established, especially if you're going to give up some assets that direction. And yeah, maybe he can come to the Ducks and it can rejuvenate his career. I think Trouba's playing some of the best hockey he's been playing this season. I know people get on the lack of defense sometimes, but I think he's had a great season so far. But yeah, these three names. There's other names out there, Mike. The Blues mentioned too that everyone on their rosters is good to go. Their management said that even making it in a wild card spot, no one's going to beat Colorado, and I totally agree with that. Colorado's been just bananas this season. And another team that came out publicly said that every one of their players is good to go on the trading block was Vancouver too. That includes Sherwood. So the Ducks have options around the league. I don't think breaking the bank to kind of buy getting into the second round is the most responsible thing to do right now. We can just let it play as it is. We don't have to make significant changes right now. I do want to see a trade happen. And you did mention bringing a defenseman. I do think the Ducks are in desperate need of a defenseman. I do want those trades to happen, but I wouldn't want them breaking the bank, wasting draft picks, um, and going that route to try to get that. It's not really worth it to me. And you know what, Mike, too. I don't know what this whole thing about Verbeek is. A lot of the fans are saying fire Verbeek. I think he's done a great job so far, and I don't understand why people are so Ducks get a losing streak and they want Verbeek to go and trade for freaking McKinnon or something like, and he doesn't do it, and fans get mad. Like I don't understand the hatred on Verbeek. I think he's doing a fantastic job. He got the team basically when they were stuck in the mud, and I think he's doing a good job so far managing the team. So I don't know why a lot of fans just want to blame someone. I mean, who's next to blame? Wild Wing? I mean, they blame the statue already.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up. You were going down that path, and I was gonna say, well, the hot topic this week was, hey, they took down the Wild Wing statue with the rebuild after their game on the 22nd, so they had then lost the next 8 games after that, and that kind of blew up. There was a couple different people posting about that on social media, and that kind of went nuts. And like you said, everyone's like, "Oh my God, you got to put the Wild Wing statue back," and you moved him, and that's why we're losing. And I mean, I'm superstitious to some extent, I guess, but I mean, really, guys, they moved the statue, and you think that's why the Ducks are losing? Like, I mean, we didn't mention that in our analysis earlier in the show, but I guess we could throw that in there. They should have put the Wild Wing statue at least somewhere still visible around the arena. I mean, I don't know, but. I thought that was hilarious, and you're right. There's been with this losing streak. It's interesting. There hasn't been a lot of people saying anything about Coach Q, but yes, there's been a lot of people going, get rid of Verbeek. He's not doing this, and that, and whatever. But I'm like, okay, this team is still better than the way they were last year. I mean, yes, they're only one game above, the NHL 500, right? 22, 21, and 3. They're technically, two more losses if you add it all up, right? I know everyone debates that, but whatever. So I'm with you. I don't. Has Verbeek done every right move? Has he been perfect? No, of course not. But as far as what's going on right now, I don't know why there's so much fire Verbeek type comments. You're right. I've seen those coming up lately during this losing streak aimed at him. But I want to see what they're going to do. They won without Carlson and Terry and
And
Cutter, who
Cutter.
was sick. In this game against Dallas, who's a very good team. I mean, okay, like he really stressed, Coach Q did, clogging up the neutral zone, the checking game, defense. It finally worked. So maybe there's something there they can work with, something that he has to look at. Like we said, maybe you do rest Leo Carlson and you give those other guys a shot. The Jansen Harkins, the Nestoronkos. We had this fan question about bringing people up. The Ducks did bring up Tim Washy. He has 13 goals with the goals. You've got Colangelo. That is another one that could be brought up. You've got some other guys down there. Justin Bailey's got 12 goals with the San Diego as well. So I mean, there are some guys that you can bring up and give a chance and give them a look. And I'm not opposed to that either. And seeing how they're going to do, and maybe they do give a little bit of a oomph because the Ducks short-handed roster against Dallas. I mean, I'm pretty sure people did not think they were going to win because when I posted that those guys were out on social media, it was like, oh, here comes the blowout. Here comes 10 losses in a row. We're going to get smoked and all this stuff. And I'm not saying it's not warranted because I already discussed this earlier in the show. I had two trains of thought. I thought maybe it'll work in the win, but I also did think the same thing. I thought, oh man, it's going to be rough. And they were able to pull it out. So I'm with you for now. I'm like, try and sit where you're at. The Oilers too, their cap situation is a complete mess. I feel like them trying to move those guys is just kind of bailing them out. You made a really good point too. Like if you're playing with Draisaitl and McDavid and you're not at least getting assists, I mean, come on, man. Like you got two of the greatest players on ice out there. Regardless what you think about the Oilers or whatever, us being Ducks fans, but I give credit where it's due. Those two guys are freaking amazing, and
Oh yeah.
anybody would love to have those guys on the team. But if you're a supporting cast and you're not somehow benefiting or scoring, I don't want you on my team. So like and the Oilers are in the division. So I'm like, eh. And I know Vancouver's in the division too. And like you talked about, they're trying to unload, it sounds like too. Um I wouldn't mind Sherwood. I just don't know that he's the one that would really help. And then the cost of the contract. You and I have talked about this too. The other equation in here is you still got to pay Carlson and you got to pay Gauthier. So they're going to get paid even with the Carlson slump. He's been injured. They know that. So they're going to get paid. You got to factor that out. So trying to get somebody that is like a bottom six guy forward, and then you may have to pay him 4 or 5 million in an upcoming contract. I don't. To me, that's not worth it. We do have Vetrano that's out. He's had a bad season. We all know that. Um, if anything, I guess, I guess thinking about that question we were talking about, if there was any kind of locker room drama, um, uh, to me, Vetrano would have kind of been one, and a little bit different scenario though. I don't think he was drama with the other players, but we saw him on the ice that last game against Dallas when they got blown out at home where he went after Robertson, right? And we've seen him in a couple games get frustrated, take penalties, get the team screwed in situations and things like that. So I don't see drama amongst the team, but Toronto was obviously frustrated this season, and now he's out. So I want to see him come back and maybe readjust his attitude a little bit. But his attitude to me is more it's internal. It's with him. It's not. I don't think it's necessarily the locker room per se. But again, that's another guy you have in the wings. So to me, you try to trade somebody on the defense. You mentioned to it. You got Minchikov, you got Zellweger, Hellison. Those are the guys more so you're looking at. You're not going to trade your 70 plus $1 million man Lacombe. We all know that. And who has been doing even better lately. He was on a good point streak there for a little bit too, and he's been, I think, playing fantastic.
Oh,
So
well, yeah, it's not about like people forget too. It's not about just him scoring points of what he does defensively.
yes,
He's hard to play against. He's a hard like you go out there, it's not going to be easy. You're gonna have to dig deep and get those goals. I like the physical aspect he brings to his game, but that two-way defensiveness, he makes it like you said. If you're gonna score when he's on the ice, you're gonna really earn that goal. And I really think, in my opinion, not because I'm just a Ducks fan, whatever. I think he should have been at least going to the Olympics, and he still can. I if I'm over there running that committee, I would have him on standby if a player gets injured and he can't make it. I know Seth Jones got injured, but he's supposed to be back. But I think he could have got a look. It's not about just the points. You have to do those other things. You have to be that shutdown defenseman, and he can. But he can also produce points too. So I think he's the best of both worlds. And just watching him develop, he's not even fully hit his capability yet. And imagine when that thing hits, like that contract's gonna look like nothing. It's gonna be great.
no, I'm with you 100%. You're right. There's the other stuff too. I know a lot of people like to look at points, plus, minus, and all that, but we always talk about looking at all the stats, right? And that's what I would look at. So for me, I would keep doing what the Ducks are doing right now. Kind of see what happens in the next couple weeks leading up to the trade freeze and the Olympics and all that. That's gonna all happen in February. If there is a defenseman out there that they think that they can greatly improve the team and not give up an arm or leg, that's what I would look at. But otherwise, I say just do what they're doing. Maybe bring some of the guys up from San Diego, give them a look. I mean, Jansen Harkins not scoring a lot of goals, but he's good in the face-off circle. He's good defensively.
Yep.
Um, Johnston, I mean, big Ross Boss. I mean, his offensive game's been better. He's he's had moments where he's done kind of the Toronto thing too, where he's kind of done a couple little ding dong things too, but not as bad, not as bad. And a lot of people gave him crap from Philly when he ran into Drysdale in that game, but that was accidental, and even the league said that didn't review it. So um,
That
I
shouldn't have
like.
been called a misconduct either. That was a dumb thing. The refs got it wrong.
Oh, I agree 100% on that because you watch the replay and he's almost like, oh crap, I hit him kind of reaction. Like, I don't think he was faking or acting. I'm not saying it should have been a penalty, maybe a 2 minute, sure, but after they reviewed it and still gave him the 5 minute major and kicked him out of the game, I was like, are you kidding me? This is one of the times where Ross didn't really go off.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, on that play too, Eddie, a lot of people didn't talk about this. Hathaway steamrolls Zellweger before that, and he didn't touch the puck. That was clearly interference. They
Yep.
did not call it. Then the play goes down the ice, and that whole thing happens with Johnston. So if the refs would have just done their job and made the correct call earlier, that whole thing with Drysdale and Johnson would have never happened. And I feel bad for
Yeah.
Drysdale. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to see anybody get hurt. Even like Tom Wilson, who we talked about in last show, who's a pain and thorn in the side. But yeah, I just I, I say let it roll right now unless they can get some top defenseman, Eddie.
Yeah, and Drysdale's making his way back in the lineup, so I'm glad that he recovered from the injury. And it
Yes.
was it was accidental. And some people say, well, he dipped his shoulder. Yeah, of course. Like when if someone's gonna throw a punch at you or someone's coming at you, your instinct, you're gonna just know what you know, and that's what these hockey players know. If someone's coming at you, you're gonna dip your shoulder. You're gonna just to protect yourself. But it wasn't no intent and no malicious intent at all. It was just an accident. It's kind of similar when Rantanen and Gudis got hit yesterday's game. I want to
Yes.
say Rantanen came out of the box and then they just ran into each other. Yeah, you heard Rantanen crying about that and complaining, but it was an accidental thing. Gudis wasn't looking. They both weren't looking at where each other were on the ice, and they ran into each other, and that's it. It's kind of similar to what happened with Johnston's penalty, but unfortunately, Drysdale got hurt on the play and couldn't return and they called it. But see, every year it gets worse with the officiating. They're just pieces of crap, and I don't want anyone to get injured, but I like when they get little bumps and bruises here and there, kind of just like a hey, good, told you so, or the puck goes and whips past them, catch them in the thigh or something, and I don't know. It's so stupid and what they call, what they don't call. Because in that aspect of the Flyers game, then Gudis should have been called and kicked out of the game for accidentally running into Rantanen. So it is what it is, I guess. They got the win, so that's all that really matters about that game.
Yeah, yeah. No, you're right. I mean, there is some of those incidental contacts like that. And yeah, that one was just crazy to me with in that Flyer game because usually you see that stuff and there's like a 2 minute penalty and yada yada yada. I think if Drysdale wasn't, laying on the ice forever and was hurt, then it might not have been that way. I think a lot of that was a gut a gut reaction by the refs just because of how hard Drysdale got smacked. I'm not defending them. I'm just saying why they called it what it is. But yeah, the refereeing when it comes to penalties is always is always slighted against the Ducks. You all know that listen to the show. That's like I think I forgot what it was. They were talking about it on Elliot Freeman's podcast a couple weeks ago or something like that, where they were saying the Ducks were like the most penalized team in the last decade or something crazy. I have to look that stat up, but
Oh no, yeah,
yeah,
I think he mentioned too that Ducks don't get the calls too.
yeah. Oh
He was
yeah,
mentioning,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
I
All
don't know
right.
how they get these stats. It's kind of crazy, but yeah, I hope Ross DeBoss gets some kind of significant raise. I think he's having a great season. He brings that physicality. He almost scored yesterday. If he would have got the puck on net, he would have scored a goal. But yeah, I like the production. He brings it confident. He goes out there. He knows his role. He plays it well, and when he can contribute offensively, I think it's a plus. Obviously, I would want him to resign and the Ducks keeping him. He is a UFA, so he has kind of the choice to go wherever. But I think he's due a significant raise from the 1.10 he gets right now. Obviously, it's not going to be that much. I know his role in the league is not really getting paid out that well, but they can throw him a few extra bucks here and there to kind of keep him on the team. But yeah, I wish him the continued best for the season, and yeah, I hope we see some nice little scraps, nice little hits, and some more point production from him.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what they're going to have to rely on going forward for now. Kind of, wrap up the show. We covered some of the league news. We got a little bit more to cover just as we kind of wind this one down, talking about what's been going on lately. You had the former Duck, briefly, Sergei Fedorov was retired by of course, Detroit Red Wings. You talked about some of the other things in here. What else
He
do we
drove
have?
his Corvette onto the ice on his
Oh,
jersey retirement
yes,
ceremony. That was the
that's what it
ultimate
was.
gangsta move right there. That's badass. Like,
That's what it
oh
was.
man.
That's what I was trying to remember. I'm all, why are we talking about? That's right. That was hilarious. That was funny. That was a good moment by Fedorov. That was great. We had some other stuff. Let's see. Oh, Ottawa's been having some issues lately. Talking about like goalie situations, right? They had former Ducks legend, haha, James Reiner signed with Ottawa. And then you were talking earlier in the show about players leaving for personal reasons and how it's a good thing. And this went nuts. And I remember you and I were talking about this. Olmark went out for personal reasons, killing my fantasy team, by the way. But anyways, he goes out, and then this crazy ass rumor goes out that he's telling everybody that this guy or that guy is cheating with this person or this or whatever, like all this. And I'm trying to, I don't even know who started this rumor, but it caught so much momentum that the team had to come out and make a statement saying that it was all BS. And there were even some of the players in the interviews like just pissed off about this, Eddie. Like, nah, the internet's wild these days, dude.
Oh yeah, and it didn't help that the statement that they came out and said it kind of added more fuel to the fire. You should have just let it go. If it wasn't true, I guess out of sight, out of mind, it would have blown over the next day. I mean, the whole Perry and Bedard's mom, that was a big funny topic. It was
Yes.
dead within what 2 or 3 days off the internet. Yeah, you still have people joke about it here and there, but I mean, having to go out and have an official statement, yeah, yeah, even if it's not true, it's like, okay, what's the point? Why would you let it rattle your team? And it kind of trickled down. I mean, they got their asses kicked by Colorado too, I think after that. Um, who knows if it's true or not? We all know athletes, things happen on the road. Um, I'm not saying it's okay if it did. Infidelity's wrong. But what happens on the road stays on the road, and it shouldn't be aired out in public. If you have issues, it should be handled internally. Not saying that's the case with them, but yeah, that was kind of wild story. Sorry about that, guys. My two puppies, they like to bark during the show. They want to say hi and they want to wish Mike a happy birthday too. So happy birthday to Mike from the puppies. Um, yeah, but that was just wild. And of course, when that statement came out, the internet blew up. And then, I mean, Kachuk debunked it. And I know I really feel bad for the players' wives have to read all this crap and
Yes.
what they had to go through. I know a lot of people don't talk about it, but I mean, you have teams, fans will go and DM the wives crap and just go to their personal lives. So I have to give credit to their significant others and what they can put up with being a professional athlete's wife and always being in the spotlight. So shout out to them, just doing what they're doing, holding it down and being there for their husband. So I know a lot of people don't really give them that much credit, but I think it's really important to do that because I mean, they're what not the safety net, but they're their rock, their peace place. So shout out to them.
Yeah, absolutely. A couple other things. You had what was it? Columbus. They fired Dean Evanson and then hired Rick Bonus. So that's kind of interesting. Columbus
I
is,
think that was the first firing of the season for coaches, right?
I think so, and it's
It's a
kind of been a mess
yeah.
over there. So I don't
I
know.
feel bad for them. Like they have a good fan base, and it just they're one of those teams that just haven't got over the hump. I guess their claim to fame was when they swept the Tampa Bay Lightning a few years ago. I wish them the best. I hope they can get it together and become a playoff team. I think their fans deserve it. Just like when I went to Buffalo, I think their fans deserve that too. And I really hope I'm not a big football fan, but I do hope the Bills go and win a championship because I had nothing but great things and interactions with the people of Buffalo.
Yeah, Buffalo. Yeah, there were not to change subject, but there were some exciting playoff games. Of course, my Rams pulled it off, a revenge game against Carolina, so I was happy about that. But yeah, there's all kinds of stuff going on. A lot of great football games this weekend. You did mention Buffalo too. Buffalo is going to host the 2020, is it six NHL draft or yes? So
Yeah.
that's coming up. Something that they got going on, and then of course Utah is going to have the next Winter Classic, and of course it's against your team, Colorado, Eddie. So I already talked to the missus about it. I'm like, ooh, we might want to go to that game, and then maybe we can all go and hang out and see how that one unfolds.
Oh yeah, Mike. Yeah, I wanted to talk to you about that too. I'm definitely gonna. I don't know. I'm definitely not missing that one. I don't care if I have to go there sick or whatever. I'm definitely gonna go to that one. I have a group of friends from Colorado that I knew from California. Another one of my friends I was stationed with. We're all planning to go too, and I was gonna see if we can meet up as a group and go. But yeah, I'm definitely attending that one, Mike. I'm not gonna miss that, and hopefully you and your significant other can join, and we can just kind of make up for the trip that I didn't go to this past one and make it really great. We can just have as much fun as you can in Utah as you possibly can. But I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be really fun. I only been to one outdoor game, was the Stadium Series against the Avalanche and the Red Wings. I got to watch the alumni game, which was really cool, and it was a good experience. It was fun. So I'm looking forward to this one coming up. That's going to be really fun, and I'm glad Utah got it. They're a brand new team. I know a lot of players or teams are fans are pissed off about that, but you know what? They're trying to grow this game. You know what, Mike? I want to bring back the Miami Stadium or Winter Classic. People were so pissed off about that because it wasn't a snowy venue. You want to grow the game. You want more, I guess, spread the game out, but you complain when the league does it. I think the league did a good job picking it where they did. Um, I know it is a dip in, it was a dip in ratings. I don't know why they switched the dates. I know they want to compete. They don't want to compete with other sports, but I think it was something good on January 1st. I think they should kind of maintain that date. But I'm looking forward to that, Mike. It's going to be really fun. Looking forward to hanging out with you guys over there. And yes, and Mike, I'm going to be cheering for the Colorado Avalanche, and I hope you are too. If not, I can't sit next to you.
Yeah, of course, dude. I'm not gonna root for Utah. I can't do
I'll
that.
bring you a jersey. I'll bring
Yeah.
you a jersey. We got to post it. Ducks and Pucks trader.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, take a photo of that and send it. I'll never live it down. But you did bring up one thing that was interesting about the date too. I don't know why they switched it to the second because it used to be the first,
Yep.
and it used to be cool because I remember those earlier ones. You know, for those of us that get that day off, right, that work like office type jobs, it's like you get the day off, and I remember just like making mimosas and watching the game and like getting all excited, because it would usually be on, West Coast. Those games would, a lot of times they'd come on like 11, 12, maybe 1 o'clock. They're always, like midday type times for us on the West Coast. So I loved it. And then, yeah, that was the one thing that was weird about that game for this last one. It was on Friday, and then it was a late start too. The game started at like 8 o'clock, which was crazy. I was like, oh my God, this is late. I mean, granted, it's 5 o'clock, what I'm used to because California time, but I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I think it was better, like you said, when they would do it on the actual holiday. People are at home, doing whatever they're doing, relaxing, taking down the Christmas decorations or whatever they're doing, or still celebrating Christmas. So, yeah, I think that might have been part of it. I know some people didn't like the intro because the players came out, and I forgot who the artist was, but he was still singing. I don't know. It was fine. I felt the venue was fine. It was super cold in there. I can tell you that. And they opened up the roof and everything. It was legit cold. It was. And I know that they did say, because you remember when Colorado played, what was it, Vegas up at Lake Tahoe.
Oh,
And
that was awesome. That looked cool.
right, but remember there was issues with the ice.
Yeah.
So that's why they said they did a little bit of a later start because they wanted to open up the roof and they didn't want the sun beating down on the ice. Because when I was there, I think I mentioned it earlier in the show that it was completely clear weather. There was like no clouds, sun. So I think that that's why they were kind of concerned. Though I think they still could have done it, like 6 o'clock. Like they didn't have to do it 8 at night. Like it's already dark around 6. So they could have done it a little bit earlier. But I mean, whatever. I still had a good time, even though the game wasn't very competitive. But yeah, I mean, it's a fun experience. If any of you ever get a chance to go, I highly recommend it. Like I said, Eddie's been to ones before. I've been to ones before, so it's really, really good. But yeah, with
Ducks are gonna
that,
get one, Mike. Ducks are getting one.
we always talk
And
about this.
no, do you want to know why? They're spending $1 billion to upgrade that whole section. It's gonna bring a lot. It's gonna be more attractive for people to go. And the Ducks, when this whole construction thing is complete, they're gonna be an elite team. We already see we got a sample size of what they could be. Once when our rookies have enough playing time, Carlson really develops, Cutter keeps shooting and scoring. It's gonna be great. The only thing is now, who are we gonna play? And I hope they start getting these rivalries. I hope Philly's one of them. I know the big storyline was the trade Zegras and Cutter. I haven't had that storyline. Have them come and play at Angel Stadium. I think it's gonna. I think it can work, especially when they're gonna put all this money in to make that whole OC vibe thing. It's gonna play out. I mean, I don't want to see the Kings again. They're really. I think, yeah, I wouldn't want to see the Kings again. Maybe a revenge game. Kings want to get that win against the Ducks, but I think a different East Coast team would help, or a team they're really going to get to that rivalry with. I know what Washington think their fans hate us. I know Philadelphia fans, they can't stand us, and it goes beyond the Cutter thing. So I think if the teams can find other teams they can find a real bad rivalry with, I think it could work. And I think it is going to work. You're not going to build all that and just not go in bids for an outdoor game. So is it going to be a Winter Classic? I don't know. I don't think so. Maybe the temperature will change and go crazy one day and it'll just start snowing in California all the time. That'd be awesome. I wouldn't mind. But yeah, I can see that happening in the near future. And I think the Ducks are going to be in on a lot of things like that and trying to bring more revenue to that area, especially the cost it's going to take to build all that.
Yeah, no, you make a good point. I mean, yeah, they do an outdoor game at Angel Stadium. We've talked about that before. That would be fantastic. So. Yeah, with that, I mean, just pretty much wrap up the show. Thanks for the support. we keep doing the show every couple of weeks. We're also part of the Old City Sports Network. Uh, so you can check all the sponsors and whatnot in the description box down below. Thanks for the support and everything else. Eddie, any final thought before we close out?
Yeah, Mike, I just want to thank you. Another year down. Thank you for the friendship, the brotherhood, allowing me to be in the podcast again. It was I still remember when you asked me to be on the show. I was really nervous. I still get nervous coming on and recording. I want to just do the best I can for the fans, for myself, and for you. So the friendship's there, and just kind of just want to wish you a really happy birthday, man. And I wish I can be there celebrating with you tomorrow, but I'm sure we'll get together when you come back and get together, have some drinks, and go to a game and kind of celebrate it there. But yeah, Mike, wish you the best for your birthday, and want to wish you a really happy birthday.
Yeah, man. No, I appreciate it. And yeah, hopefully they can turn around. They already gave me a birthday present by ending that losing streak, thank God. So hopefully they can do some damage against the Kings. We'll see what happens here. But yeah, that'll do it. We'll wrap up the show. Thanks for listening. Appreciate all your support. And as always, let's go Ducks.